My name is Connor Tyra, and this is the Domino Effect.
I'm Destiny with Digital Domino, and this is the Domino Effect, a marketing playbook. Today, I'm here with Connor Tyra. He is an entrepreneur, a recording engineer, and he's the owner of Anthem Recording Studios.
Thanks, Destiny, for having me on, first off. Anthem started, I think, kind of out of necessity for me. I was an artist well before I was a producer and an engineer. I was having to travel northwest of Fort Worth to like this little podunk town, and I was recording in essentially a shack, a very nice shack, but it took a lot out of me because at the time I was still in college, and so just trying to travel up there, the expense, the effort, and things like that, I would only really get about 8 hours of recording in, which is a lot, but when I have a weekend to do it and then I have to drive back home, another 5 hours home, it just got really taxing, and I felt like I wasn't giving my best performance in that time, because you get tired, you get fatigued, you're listening to the same stuff over and over again, you're playing the same stuff over and over again. So for me, it kind of came out of necessity. I downloaded, I use Logic Pro as my interface, and so I just started messing with it, playing with it, seeing what I could do. And if I can get a better vocal take, maybe I can send that to my producer at the time. And I was able to do that. And so after those first couple songs, I really started enjoying myself doing it. I was getting much better at it, and eventually just kind of started doing it all myself. And I would have friends and people like that in, and just taking care of, if they had like a song they wanted to do, we would just do a demo or whatever. But it kind of just evolved into something, and I never thought I'd be doing this for a living, but I had a knack for it, and I had some good advice from friends and family, and they were like, just give it a shot. Here we are.
Wow,
so, yeah.
That's awesome. So you're completely self-taught?
Completely self-taught. I mean, there's online resources and things like that, but just experience and just a lot of hours.
Okay, so you said you started in like what you would say a glorified shack almost.
Yeah, definitely.
So where and how has that evolved now? Where is Anthem Recording Studios, and how is it different from when you started?
Yeah, well, when I recorded with somebody else, we were in a shack, and then it did not change much when I came home. I had about an 8x8 closet is literally what it was. And so I had a rug in there, had my computer, some cheap foam on the walls. I thought I was, hot stuff. and so I would have people in there, but as time kind of went on and things like that, it's in a like a barn/apartment.
Okay.
That it used to be an office. I used to actually live there. I lived in one of those little 8x8 closets. But I remodeled it. It's a total overhaul. I built an ISO room. I knocked down the dividing wall between the two closets. So now it's much bigger. I have like a live room. I've got a control room. I'm building a Studio B. So, I mean, it's come along really well. It's here. It's in Boerne, Texas. And it's been a really cool thing to see change over time. And I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it. Yeah.
I will say, I know a lot of people who record and try to produce on their own, but I've been to your studio and it is on a different level. You definitely are a professional, and your space really shows that. It's a beautiful studio. A
lot of effort, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of effort. So when somebody comes in, to somebody who's not familiar with music, or it's their first time wanting to get into recording, it can be a little intimidating for them. So when somebody comes in, how do you make sure that person that comes in is going to feel comfortable working with you and recording in your space? Yeah,
I mean, that's a great question, because there's in this world, in this industry, there's what's kind of known as essentially bedroom studios, and then there's commercial studios. There's not really any in between, so like commercial studios would be like Abbey Road, that's what people think of, or Blackbird in Nashville. And then bedroom studios, like you said, like your friend in their closet kind of thing. But yeah, I think that people definitely feel intimidated because it's a big deal, because their music is an extension of themselves or a reflection of themselves. And so they want to put their best foot forward. They want the best version of their song, but they're nervous because it's a big undertaking. And I think a lot of it from what I've seen, has stemmed from confidence issues. People just don't think their song is good enough. I mean, how do I stack up against, Morgan Wallen or Dua Lipa or, whoever? So it's like, how do you stack up against that? Well, it's like, that's a totally different realm. You know, you're just getting started. I mean, the sky's the limit for you kind of thing. So I think for me, the biggest thing is I just try to instill a sense of confidence in them and a sense of, I listened to this song, man, it's great. Because regardless of what people may or may not think, when you come in, you still see the person working in a business as an authority figure. Like if I walk into a retail store, the clerk is an authority figure. Yeah. And so people have like this innate primal like sense of, hey, like this person knows what they're talking about. And so when it comes from someone like that, I think they kind of go, oh, well, that's a third party. I don't know this guy from Adam. He's nice, but he said he liked my song. Maybe it is a good song. Yeah. And so just having 10 minutes of small talk with them before we actually step into the booth and then they have to start recording, it allows them to take a breath, because they come in, they're nervous, maybe they had to leave house like super early because it's an 8 a.m. session or whatever. So just I think 10 minutes or so of chit chat and just kind of instilling a sense of confidence in them and in their music. I think it really makes a world of difference. That's good. So when talking about comfortability, I want to segue a little bit into what kind of artists do you record? Do you have like a specific niche that you are like, these are the kind of artists I'm looking to record? Or are you just kind of like completely open and you have different types of artists from different genres? I mean, I'm always open to just about everybody. I obviously have my preferences and kind of what I'm better at. I have noticed that I tend to have a lot of country and like Red Dirt or rock kind of musicians in there. That's typically what I enjoy the most, just because I feel like it's the most wide open genre. Yeah. And I think it's been that way for a couple years now. People are kind of saying, oh, country, but it's like, which kind of country do you like? So it's been kind of fun to see that change and evolve. But I mean, I've had rap artists in there. I've had really, yeah. Wow, I wouldn't have expected that. I guess I could say name. Well, one of the guys, his name is Young Country, and he's Young Country rap. Young Country raps, and he is great. I love him. Great guy. He comes in, we're super efficient with his time and stuff. I mean, he steps behind the mic, he's got it down, you know? And then some people come in and they take a little bit longer, and that's fine, So I've had rap, I've had like Austin fusion, almost like Hendrix meets Beastie Boys meets almost like NWA. What? Yeah, and then a little bit of like Chili Peppers. Okay. I mean, sprinkled on top. It's sprinkled on top. I mean, it's crazy stuff, but it's been just a blast thus far. But yeah, I think typically my niche is definitely like Red Dirt, country, that kind of thing. Yeah. So. I mean, makes sense. You're hearing Bernie. It's probably kind of closer to the music that you play. It is. Yeah, definitely. So I want to talk a little bit about, so you got the studio together, you have artists coming in. And you and I are both roughly around the same age group. Yep. So we grew up with the internet. We did. We grew up seeing the very first wave of social media platforms. I think the first one I can think of is MySpace. And even then, it was like the very tail end of that. It was. Yeah, I was a little young for MySpace. But yeah, definitely. I think I knew people who had MySpace, but I wasn't on it. I don't think I had one. Yeah. But then we started seeing things like Facebook and Instagram come into play. And now it's like such a big platform for business owners to share their business with an audience that they probably weren't able to reach before. Definitely. Yeah. So when it comes to coming from that same demographic and that age, what were your like immediate like thoughts or ideas when it came to like, how am I going to get Anthem on these platforms? Did you first attempt to market yourself, or was that something that you were immediately like, I think I might end up needing help with this? Yeah, well, I definitely know what you're talking about, because I mean, for me, when I first entered social media, I was probably like 11 or 12, you know?
Yeah.
I remember my parents freaking out because my cousin was probably 14 and she got a Facebook account and they were like, oh my gosh, she has a Facebook already.
Yeah.
You know, she's too young, you know? And so I was probably like 12 or 13 when I got an Instagram, and it was, you know, you would post like me and my buddy take a picture of ourselves going to a Boy Scout meeting.
Yeah.
And you know, you'd get like 4 likes and we're like, you know, this is cool. I'm you know, I'm hot stuff. And but you know, for me, as I started getting older and I started seeing people actually being able to market their businesses on social media, I think it was, to me, I thought, oh well, like if I ever wanted to own my own business, I could probably do that myself. You know, because oftentimes what you would see is people marketing themselves first.
Yeah.
And then people would click on their profile, then they would click on their business, like, because they say, oh look, this person owns a business, you know?
Yeah.
And then that's how they would kind of get traffic. And regardless of what their marketing strategy was, I kind of maybe felt like I could do it, but when I actually started getting into it, I realized that I really wasn't that great at social media. It never really clicked for me. Like I said, I'm still very much am like, hey, me and my friend are going to, you know, that sort of thing. Even though I don't post that, it's just, I felt like if I wanted the best chance for my business to succeed, I needed to defer to the professionals. Yeah. And that's why I came to you guys. Yeah. For sure.
And we've loved working with you and alongside you.
Thank you. It's been great.
Yeah, because it's a beast. It is honestly something really hard to get a grasp on, even coming from the age group that would quote unquote know about social
how to do that
media.
Sort of
it's not as easy as it looks, and especially with production, constantly getting more and more.
I mean, it's like a full-time job.
It is.
It really, yeah. I mean, look at you. Yeah. So it was definitely more than I could you know, chew essentially. Yeah. So it was a godsend that you guys were able to help me the way you have.
Thank you. Definitely. Yeah, and it's a hard one to get a grasp on, but especially with how much content is being posted and things like that. But one thing that I think we have done a really good job on is the very first time we came out to get content from you. I think maybe in total we've done maybe 2, 1 or...
I think we're up to 3 now.
Oh, 3. Okay, so about 2 to 3 content collections. And how long have we been able to really stretch that out?
Oh my gosh, probably a year and a half, if I had to guess. Probably pretty close to it. We're coming up on it because I think it was August of like 23 when I came to you guys, and then we started like the next month. So it's been a while. It's kind of amazing how long it can last. Really and truly.
Yeah, and I mean, that's something that, you know, sometimes we even offer to our clients coming out once a month. And could you imagine like the amount of content you could get if you were doing that, you know? But it's also not necessary. Like as long as you have an idea of what you're going to what you need to say to your audience, you can do it in so many ways that we can reuse. One of the things is I want to talk a little bit about that first time that we did come out. What were your feelings when we first came out? Were you nervous? Were you like, oh, I got this?
I mean, I think I was nervous because it kind of maybe set in that like, hey, we're starting, like this is the start of like the big push. You know, this is what's going to push me into, you know, like people calling me all the time, people DMing me or whatever it happened to be. I knew that was going to be the next step. And so I was nervous in that regard. And I'd never really been on camera before, you know, like, you know, modeling and or whatever you want to call it. But so I was nervous in that regard. But I think, you know, kind of once you guys got there and we started the shoot, I think it just everything kind of fell into place. You know, it was very easy to work with you guys. You know, we got the content very effectively. And, you know, there were great ideas being tossed around. So we were able to get really interesting shots, I think, too, which helps. And so I think it only took us like an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. And because I mean, you guys got a lot. And then, I mean, we made that last for a while. And I think it also works in this business because, you know, if you were doing an auto shop or something, like if they were having a deal, like, hey, like if you come get your tires rotated, we'll change your oil kind of thing, you know, like that sort of thing. So like you don't have something like that to post every day for a recording studio, you know, and I might not have, you know, a client every single day because it's project based. You know, we work on, you know, whatever we work on could take I don't know, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, you know, like I said, I'm doing an album for a guy. So that's taken a while. So being able to stretch that content has really been a great thing for me, simply because not every client really feels comfortable being recorded while they're recording. So, you know, the times that y'all have come out has been, you know, really great with the people that are also great on camera, and you know, just very appreciative of everything, and so it makes it very easy to I think not only work with you guys, but like I said, stretch the content, you know,
and take off some of that stress on you with like the idea of being able to like keep up with the social media world, even though, you know, we did start I think we started you off doing 3 posts a week, and then I think we went down a couple months in to 1 post a week, and even that was able.
I do remember, because it was like 3 organic, I think what y'all call organic posts a week, and that was, I think, just to kind of keep my followers and people like that interested, and then we had a pretty large ad spend budget initially. And then I think I tapered that off about this time last year. And then I think, you know, just sort of started maintaining from basically the beginning of this year on, because I felt like the studio was going through changes. It still is. And so like, I don't really, not at this particular moment, don't need to necessarily grow. But I definitely need to maintain, and that has been really impressive how we've been able to do that thus far. But I think if you really want to grow, you know, it's got to be 2, 3, upwards of that times a week, and consistently.
Yes. So. I'm so glad you said that, because really that is the magic with social media is keeping up and keeping your audience informed and gaining new people. But there is always room and space for people who are only looking to maintain and stay at least at the bare minimum active with people, so that they know that you still exist and that you're still there, still doing recordings. Here. I'm still here. So you brought up ad spend, and how when we first started, we were running ads. And I think I'm pretty confident that we started your page from like the very ground up. So, and it's always really fun and unique to do that. Some of our clients do have very strict marketing guidelines. They have their colors, they have their fonts, they have their verbiage already in place. And I think the privilege of working on your account was that you kind of really did trust us in the sense of like, hey, you guys are the professionals, go ahead, and if you think that'll work, then let's try it. And that's not always the case, really. So it was honestly really, it's been a joy to do that and to really kind of lay it out from the ground up. Another thing that I kind of want to talk about too is how you also brought in some of your personal friends during that shoot. To kind of help make it not just you in front of the camera. And sometimes we don't even necessarily need that. You know, we can have somebody else be in front of the camera, like a model. Like, for instance, the friend that you had come in, it's my understanding that she wasn't even a musician. No. That was pretty funny. No, funny enough, I had called a friend of mine who, he's just really great. He is a musician. And so I was like, he can make it look, you know, real. He can make it look good. But I think it was like a Tuesday or something. And he had to work that day, so he couldn't come. He was like, I'm off tomorrow if that works. And I'm like, no, you know, they need to come today. And but he couldn't make it. So I called her, and she actually is like a model. Like that's what she does for a living. And so with her there, you know, and she can take direction very well, not only from me, but from you guys. Be like, hey, can you pose like this? And she got it, you know? And so I think it made it very efficient, but especially because this business is client based, you know, it's a service industry for sure at the end of the day. And so seeing me work with a client, even though it really was fake, it still like instills in people like, okay, this is how kind of it would go. You know, like, oh, like he's gonna greet me, we're gonna sit and talk about things, blah blah blah. I think it got the point across of what we were trying to do, and you're right, I don't think every single business needs that, but that's something they should think about really and truly. And I'm not saying you have to like hire a professional model or anything, but you know, if you've got somebody who doesn't mind being on camera and who
works well on camera and you're like, hey, that guy could have been an actor.
Yeah.
Put him on, you know? So, but it's kind of interesting how stuff like that, I think, works.
How it kind of plays out.
Definitely.
So going back a little bit back to the ad spend part, how that grew your page immensely.
Big time.
Immediately. Do you have any stories from maybe somebody who shot you a DM and you've been able to bring them into the studio?
Yeah. Well, the ad spend definitely grew it. I think that's when I noticed the biggest jump.
Yeah.
And, you know, depending on, like, if I spent more, I would definitely get more. And then if I spent less, you know, it would taper off, you know, obviously as you went down. But I had a lot of people reach out, especially after that first huge push that we did within like the first month or so. Had a lot of people reach out. And, you know, like just like in any business, you have your looky-loos, you know, your window shoppers.
Yep.
And then, you know, you have the serious people, but sometimes it just doesn't work out. They're like, oh, I'm from Chicago. And you're like, okay, well, you can like let's set a date. And they're like, well, I got to talk to my wife. And I'm like, talk to your wife. Yeah. And then he would just never get back to me. You know, stuff like that. But I had a guy, he's I'm still like, to be honest, a little bit unclear as to what his job description is. Okay. But I think he's like in the grandest sense of the word, like a producer. Okay. And like an agent. Like he represents people. And so he represented, funny enough, this girl, she's like a Texas native, like a hill country native. He represented her, and she's really talented. And I had friends and stuff that had followed her for quite some time. And I was like, yeah, that she's coming in, you know, her producer's bringing her in. They're like, oh my gosh, you know, like small world. So she came in, recorded it. She just needed to do vocals on a song because they were working out of LA and out of Nashville. Oh, okay. And so, like, I think at the time he saw me, he was in LA. He was in one of those two places. He wasn't in Texas. Okay. So, like, the ads were even reaching that far through. I'm sure his algorithm and stuff was very music-based, so he probably had a higher chance of seeing me. But he saw me, brought her in. They liked me a lot. Brought in another guy, and he did guitar and vocals, like a demo song. He recommended me to another friend and stuff. So I ended up getting like 3 or 4 clients out of that, you know? And so it's kind of interesting how just one ad that one person sees, if they decide to act on it, can bring in so much more business. And that last, like the 4th client they brought in, I've done probably like 10 songs for him thus far, 10 or 11. And we've got like, I mean, he has like 55 or something like that total, but we're compiling an album right now in addition to all those singles. So it's brought a lot of business. It's been really good, but it's just kind of crazy how just one little thing, you know, can just open everything up. Yeah,
and I'm glad you mentioned a little bit. I heard you sneak in there that the algorithm, that his algorithm is probably music, so that's probably why. A large portion of that too is that it's not just what Juliana does. She's she's the lead. She runs the digital department. Yes. And she does most of our ad spends, and she's an ad strategist. She is really good at figuring out what the target market is and putting that money, not just throwing it at the wall, right? And kind of being like, okay, please, let's get a lead. Yeah. She's very educated on how to set them up and how to target people like that. So the algorithm is one aspect of it, but even just with having somebody who understands ads in and out can target that right demographic to get you to the point where you had 3 different people and now working on an album. So it's really good to hear that sometimes those ads they're really working for our clients.
Well, what's great about that is she would send me still does like those insights. Like she would send like a 10-minute video every week and say like, you know, here's the traffic we got this week, here's the number of clicks on your website because of the ads and things like that, and then kind of showing areas that we could improve upon, or like making sure that the audience that we were trying to reach was being reached. Yes. You know, and so it was pretty cool. It's cool to see all that kind of stuff and just see the impact of even just one ad, you know, over the course of a month. You know, it was
and talk about how when social media was just posting a picture and
now it's all this, you know, it's unbelievable.
I don't even really feel like everybody fully grasps that concept that there's a whole back end to Instagram and to Facebook, and it's more than just posting on top of a schedule. You know, there's layers to it. Definitely. So you get a leg up on, I feel like, some of your competitors or any of our clients and their competitors when you do stuff like that, because it's one thing to keep up with, you know, everybody. And then it's another thing to kind of have the little inside secret and
Definitely
be able to know, hey, this is why I'm performing so well.
Yeah, it takes it all the way, really. I mean, that's 0 to hero, honestly. Because, I mean, like you said, you can be effective with, you know, not minimal, but the standard stuff, you know, like kind of understanding generally what your audience is, but being able to really hone in on them and like make it to where when like the person who's been looking for a recording studio for a year, the first time they open their phone, the first ad they see or whatever is my ad. That's like beyond me. And so definitely really, really cool to see. And like you said, it's worked. It's worked thus far. So
we talked a little bit about how this is a service industry for you, and it really is. You have artists coming in. What is something that you get asked a lot by artists who are looking to record with you, whether it's about the recording experience itself or about what kind of services you offer? Because to my understanding, you also have a practice room that you also have rented out. Is that still a thing?
I mean, it is in some. I mean, I've had people use it for that. You know, I'm kind of considering maybe not doing that service anymore, just because it's not. I mean, it's working, but not. I have to be down there with them, you know. And sometimes when they want to practice, it's inconvenient for me. So, but initially it was a thing that, you know, definitely worked, but. I think the question, I mean, everybody always wants to know about price, you know, because this is notoriously a very pricey industry, a pricey thing to do. So I understand that. So that's a big question. I think a lot of people just kind of want to know, you know, essentially what can I do for them, you know, because either they're brand new or they've done it a couple times or a lot of times. And it's just been vastly different across all of their different experiences. You know, it's like, so sometimes they might have a really great experience somewhere and then a really bad experience the next, because people like to shop studios. It's a kind of a term in this world. And so like they'll kind of jump around and see what, you know, they'll compare price, they'll compare, you know, time spent there. Like, how much time do I really have to be in Atlanta if I want to go to Atlanta to record or whatever. So, you know, they just kind of wonder, like, what's the turnaround time? And they're also kind of wondering, you know, like, am I going to have to pay for studio musicians? Like, what are all of the costs and things like that? But I think the biggest thing is just, you know, kind of wanting to get to know me. Really is the at the end of the day, that's what I've been asked the most, I think.
Okay. So. All right. Let's zoom out a little bit.
Okay.
And let's talk about artists themselves and why they should and could benefit from recording with you versus like some people who maybe have been recording in their closet or at their small-time friends non-commercial studio. What would you say is a benefit for them to come and record?
Well, that's a great question, because I think I mean, it's never been easier to record music. Like you said, you can do it out of your bedroom. And I think the selling point for a lot of studios is going to be like their equipment and their treated rooms and things like that. And, you know, we have all that. We've got great equipment. We've got, I've got a recording console, which is a big deal for a lot of people, you know, full drum set, all that stuff, live room, ISO booth. I could go into all that, but kind of onto the last question's answer. I mean, really, it is, at the end of the day, who you're making the music with. And, you know, I try to wear a lot of different hats, and it can be taxing at times because, you know, I mean, even just leaving out the fact that I'm an artist too, you've got producer, which is a whole job in and of itself. You've got engineer, mixing engineer, recording engineer. Then you've got guitar player, bass player, drummer, it's keyboard player, etc. You got all these different things, background singer. So trying to fill all of those roles, wear all those hats, I can do that, and I have done it pretty successfully thus far. But I think the big thing is just like the experience and really understanding people's vision for the song. I worked with a guy who actually he came up to me after one of my concerts that I played in Austin, and this was probably about a year ago, and he was like, you mentioned like on stage that you had a record, like you just opened a recording studio. I was like, yeah, I did, you know, and he kind of was telling me that he had recorded before, like one song, and that he was looking to kind of change it up a little bit, and he wanted to see like what I could do differently for him. And so we ended up talking on the phone later that week after I listened to his song on Spotify. And the message that I got from him was essentially that he felt like when he recorded that song, they did not really listen to him at all. They did not understand what he was trying to go for. They just were like, okay, it's just another day, another dollar kind of thing. And they just produced the song. Yeah. And he was like, it was way too polished. It was way too Nashville for me. And he really wanted something a little bit more raw, but still full band, still felt like he was doing it professionally, but not as just like slick and perfect as it was that first song. And I go, well, I can help. I can do that for you. I've done it before. So he comes in and we just nail it out. I mean, we really did it. We spent about a month doing it, really just trying to make sure it was perfect. He's got a great voice, great songwriter. But that's exactly what he was looking for. And I was able to strip back, my normal process and give him exactly what he wanted because I understood as an artist myself. I was like, I get it. If you're not getting the product that you really want, it's just disheartening and it's disappointing, because you probably wrote that song in your bedroom and it meant a lot to you. I think he wrote it for his now wife. He wrote it for her, and she's like on the album art, I think, now. And so now for him, it's like, it's a great memory for him. It's a great, he loves, it's a great song. So I'm proud of that. And I'm just proud of I think the process and the ability to be able to do that and give them exactly what they're looking for. Speak the lingo. Yeah. And understand, get on their level. Because a lot of people, a lot of producers and stuff, like they've been doing this for 15, 30 years, whatever. They have a way to do it. And they're set in their ways, and they just assume that because most people are just looking for something professional, that they're going to be okay with just that much experience and that much know-how. That doesn't always equate to exactly what they're looking for. So it's been an interesting thing to see, I think, for me, and seeing why people would choose me over like a bedroom guy. And I've definitely had people outweigh, a bedroom. They're like, let's go with this. The prices are competitive, and he's got everything that we're looking for. Yeah. So.
Well, that's really good. That's an interesting story, thinking about the fact that, being a producer in itself, you can't just produce one way. You have to open your mind up a little bit. You have to be flexible. Because like I said, I do rap, and I've done some very strange genres and some strange songs, but they've all been fun to do, and so kind of just trying to broaden my horizons on that front has been great. Okay, well, broadening horizons. Let's talk about that. Okay. Let's talk about business owners. So you yourself, it's really impressive. You are, how old are you?
25.
You're 25, so you're younger than me. And you have this whole business that you've started, that you've had a passion for. You're a musician yourself. Yes. And now you have a recording studio. You've invested in yourself by investing in marketing for your business, and you've seen the growth that's happened.
Definitely.
What would you say to even other young entrepreneurs that are your age that maybe think, hey, I can do this myself, or just that I don't need to do it? Who says that I need to do it? What advice would you give somebody?
Don't think that. don't think that. Like I said earlier, I kind of thought that way initially, but I mean, it was really a lot more complicated than I think I ever gave it credit for. The advice I would say is just reach out to, regardless of where you are or where you're located, find someone like you guys.
Or us, exactly.
Or you guys, if you're here,
We go all over.
Well, there you go.
All over, so we're
Digital
not
Domino.
limited. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, no, it's been, because like I said, regardless of what your business is, you're going to be busy all the time, especially in new businesses. And if you're like the only one running it kind of thing, it just takes so much time and so much effort, and it's just something that you have to do. Like it's as necessary as paying your taxes. It's like,
I love that. I love that. We got to start saying that.
The certainties in life, I don't see where in my schedule I would fit in the time to be able to fully sit down and like plan out ads and plan out, exactly like when I'm going to post and, just do all of that. Cause it's a lot more in depth than I think I ever gave it credit for. And so I have to think, after working with you guys, being able to see that has been kind of mind blowing. So, I definitely think, you have to go with you guys, or just, just have somebody do it for you. Seriously. Have your input, have your, your ideas and things like that. But having somebody do that full time has been just a godsend.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Let's talk a little bit about how I like that you just mentioned right now. Give your ideas. Work with somebody in the same way that what you do is collaborative. What we do is also very collaborative. It is, because again, it is a service industry for us as well, and it's not something where it's like, hey, we're the experts, we know what to post on your page, and that's it. You know, if you ever have a question of why, or we're posting something, or can we post this, or you know, if you have any edits, it's not something where we're like, no, sorry.
No, our way or the highway.
Yeah, we love being able to work with our clients' ideas, and especially if, you know, because at the end of the day, it's your brand. It's same way that song was something that they wrote themselves and it was special to them. This is your business, and this is something that you're passionate about. So at the end of the day, we want to make sure it's something that you can look at and want to show other people and be like, hey, look at my page. You know, look at the ad. Look at, you know, this cool reel they just posted, or this graphic, something that you're confident to share. So
definitely. Yeah, the collaboration's a big deal, you know, and I think, you know, even if, no matter how big or small the idea is, if it's just like a type of post, you know, even if it's not a consistent thing, like I remember when we first introduced like the funny reels, you know, like the memes and stuff, like those are great, you know, every once in a while, like they're funny, you get a lot of engagement from it, you know, but just like having that, you know, that small thing, you know, just to change things up, or like, hey, let's do like a serious post this week or something, or just having some ideas floating back and forth, I think is a big deal. And I need to be better about that. You know, I've done it some, but just trying to be, I think, a little bit more engaged in things would be, I think it goes a long way. Yeah, definitely.
It does. And even though, you know, it's been a difficult thing to try to set up certain times or to get content, and sometimes it's not always feasible, with the fact that, you know, we've been able to take old things, and I will give a lot of credit to our content creator Jackson, who actually works on your account. He's the one that's been creating all of your stuff for a while now. So he's the one that kind of introduced that idea, and, you know, he kind of saw that we were trying to stretch out the content, and was like, hey, here's another way we can stretch it out that's not just going to be a throwaway thing. It's something that will actually add culture to your page. So I credit a lot of that to,
well, thank you, Jackson. I mean, it definitely is a big deal. So it's been, I think, like you said, like that's a cool thing you said about adding culture. I never really thought about it like that, but just it adds personality to your business, I think, a little bit. And having those kinds of people like Jackson, and the rest of the team that can think outside the box like that. And if you're not available to shoot content all the time, you know, having people like that can take, you know, you give them an inch and they take a mile, but in a good way. You know, so that's a pretty cool thing. Yeah, very cool thing.
Yay. Okay, I'm glad that that's something that you've been enjoying and that we've been working on together. Yeah. So talking about this being something that can reach people far and wide, why would you say visibility is important for artists to be present online?
Well, I mean, it's funny because I've thought about this in different ways for a long time now, even without thinking of it like you phrased it. But I think it matters now more than ever, honestly, you know, because I mean, I don't know, 50 years ago or so, you know, I mean, what mattered most was talent. But even then, it's like, if they had no idea who you were, if you even existed, you know, you were going nowhere. You know, like I think, you know, Merle Haggard was an ex-con. You know, correct me if I'm misspeaking, but I believe he saw Johnny Cash play at Folsom Prison, and that's what like inspired him. And so now he has like 60 albums. You know, I mean, he just put out so much music, and not every album had the biggest hits, but the labels and stuff were just pushing him super hard and trying to make him change his image, you know, from this sort of outsider and the ex-con. Yeah. But you know, there could be people out there, artists, whoever, that are like the most talented people you've ever thought about, like ever even heard. I think Jimi Hendrix was like on an interview, he said, because they're like, you're the greatest guitar player ever. And he's like, there's some kid in a shack in Montana who is 1 billion times better than I could ever dream of being. You know, and I think he would have been blown away by people like Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Stevie credits Jimmy with, his sound or whatever. So it's kind of interesting how that ties together. But now it's like you have to have marketability as well as talent, because with one post on TikTok, you could just go viral overnight. You could be the next big thing, but you don't have, the experience necessary, kind of, required, if you will, or maybe the experience that other people have, who have been just trying to do it for 10 years or whatever. They've been playing podunk bars and stuff. And but I just think visibility nowadays is just so important, and not only for artists, but for my business and stuff too. Because like I said earlier, you can kind of get recorded anywhere, but what we do is what sets Anthem apart from everywhere else. And I think without the marketing and without the kind of the interesting perspective that I have on it, that we have on it together, I don't think I'll be nearly as successful as I've been. Yeah. So it's an interesting question, really. Yeah,
and I hope the people that watch this, who are maybe on the teetering between, like, is it really even all that it's cracked up to be? Should I do something like that? Should I invest in it? That no matter the age, you definitely should, because there's just too much competition, and it doesn't have to be, it can be a labor of love, something that you don't have to fight, but instead you get to enjoy. Definitely. With looking back and having to buy your time back and focus more back onto what you got into it in the first place for, rather than having to become a whole marketing professional yourself.
Absolutely. It's the same reason that companies, like, large companies have different departments. It's, you have an HR department, you might have like a recruiting, whatever, marketing, accounting, whatever it is. That's the reason that you compartmentalize these things. And so I think working with you guys has really kind of taken that load off my shoulders and allowed me to kind of focus and invest myself back in my business and let you guys do the heavy lifting on the marketing part. And it's just been, like I said, kind of just mind-blowing to see how far it's come. And I can't wait to see where it goes from here.
Can we talk a little bit about your studio updates and what's like kind of coming, or we're not quite ready for that?
I can give a little bit of it, just because it's in the parts of it are in the very early stages of it. And, depending on who sees it or whatever, it's not like it could be patented, that kind of a thing. It's like, but just it's new ways to introduce. It's not just going to be like a fully recording studio anymore, because you can kind of, like I said earlier, we all do the same thing at the end of the day, and just having additional services and things like that. But I'm talking about adding like a full on, almost like a different business attached to it. So, I still offer the same things I've always offered. Yeah. I'll still do all the same things, but just trying to identify my market. Just like you guys have identified my audience. Yes. I'm trying to identify my market of clients and really like push to them what I know that they need more than anything else. Oh, okay. So it's kind of interesting to see all that kind of starting to come to fruition, and I'm gonna kick it up here in about a month. Okay. And so I'll be reaching back out to you guys so you can get on board with it. But it's super cool. I'm very, very excited about it.
Okay. Yeah. Yay. I'm looking forward for more Anthem posts. And more Anthem content collection.
Definitely. Yeah. Because we'll need content collection for sure.
So thank you so much, Connor, for coming on and being a part of this episode.
Thank you for having me.
Really, really fun to be a part of.
It was a blast, yeah.
So this is your camera. If you want to go ahead and just let people know where they can find you and what you're up to.
Definitely. So Instagram, Facebook, Anthem Recording Studios, Texas, or TX. Phone number 830-443-8333. Email ctyra, Tyra, at anthemrecordingstudios.com. But yeah, I'd love to get in touch with you and make your song into an anthem. Anthemrecordingstudios.com.
Perfect. So. Love that. And if you yourself are a business owner and you're struggling with finding your voice and keeping up with everything online, please reach out to Digital Domino and let's talk about getting your brand online.
You've been listening to a Digital Domino marketing podcast.